sure that long query time is reasonable. So what is reasonable? Well, if you want to capture all your traffic, and that is what most of the times we will want to do to do a query audit or to investigate specific performance issues, I would say that, for regular production use, to always leave it there and just not have to worry about your slow query logs growing too much or capturing inordinate amount of queries that will add latency to the queries and whatnot. I would say 100 milliseconds, it's a very long query. Like if your queries are taking more than 100 milliseconds, you should take care of those. Less than 100 milliseconds, again, you are investigating some specific performance issue. Again, this is a ballpark figure that I think it's a good starting point.
So here's the one thing though with those settings that worries me a bit. And this is where there's always trade-offs, right? So assuming that your query workload, if you're saying like, okay, let's set this to 100 milliseconds, you miss out if the queries generally take like 10 milliseconds, you won't necessarily know, right? Like that it went from 10 milliseconds to 100 milliseconds, and you won't be able to get that kind of historical rise and fall, which can be problematic because you don't, get that level of detail.
Okay, here is what I will tell. Like if a customer comes and tells me, Marcos, I have running MySQL. What is the best way to permanently audit queries? Okay, what I would say is, let's find your QPS. Let's establish what is your, peak queries per second and what is regular workload, not the peak time, but, like something intermediate QPS. And then I will also establish what is an average response time. I would say, okay, 95% of your queries return in 3 milliseconds or less, and 99% of your queries return in 10 milliseconds or less. So then you can say, okay, long query time 15, it's really capturing the 1% outliers. Or I could say long query time 10 milliseconds is capturing that 5% of the slow queries and allowing me to skip 95% of my queries from the slow load.